So who do I look at, man?
Whoever asks the
Maybe
question.
I'll just rotate around per question.
Coach, how much is this spring just getting to know your group, and how much have you learned so far just in a couple of days?
Yeah, it's been great. Being around them just as people, in the pre-spring ball phase is part of the relationship building process and getting to know them. But as football players, once you start playing football, that's the beauty of spring ball. And that's what I've, this week with the start of practice, been able to get to know these guys better as football players. And it's been great.
Brett has said that this outside linebacker room is maybe the most talented individual room he's had, at least at that position. What stands out about them? What do you have you learned about them?
Yeah, first of all, these guys are they're wired the right way. They have really alpha mindsets, and I think that's a prerequisite for the position. They all bring that to the table, and they're talented guys. Within each guy's skill set, there's differences. Seth Coleman is kind of a long, flexible, twitchy guy. Gabe is a little bit more of a powerfully built player. So those are some differences right there. But when that mentality meets the skill sets that they have, that makes for a special group, and that's where they're at right now.
What's it like to be a coach? It's not just all cookie cutter. These guys are all the exact same skill set, build, etc. But have a lot of versatile pieces.
Yeah, it's great. As a coach, that's the fun part. To have versatility. As you said, that's also the challenge too. You need to identify what your guys do, what they don't do well. Some guys are different, and it's your job as a coach to figure out ways to maximize their strengths and weaknesses and apply techniques to their game. In general, there's an identity we want to have, and there's a way we want to play. So everybody has to do some level of uniformly. We need to do some things as a group, but then individually, guys need to maximize what they do best, and that's my job as a coach to identify that and help them with that. So that part's fun.
What's it been like for you to get acclimated here? Been here a couple months now. What's it been like?
Yeah, it's been good. My family's finally here now. For a while, it was just me in the Hyatt downtown, which is great accommodations. But once your family is around you and I'm around them, it's a game changer. They got in last week, moved into the house. We got some boxes everywhere, but we're working through them. Mainly my wife and family, but it's been good. The people are great here, Midwest guy, so to be back around those people, the people in this building, which I knew, and I had a feel for that on my interview, so I kind of knew that coming into it, but it's just great to be back in the Midwest. That helps any type of transition.
How did you mentally approach the guys in your room and what you wanted to bring to this defense? Did you watch film? Did you want a preconceived notion of the dudes before you got them, or what was your process?
No, I definitely watched film. I wanted to assess, who they were as players and their skill sets, and you saw the talent right away on film, so that was good for me to see what I'd be working with, that underlying skill set that they all had. So definitely wanted to know what I was getting into that way. And then from my standpoint, I just felt good about bringing some techniques to those guys. And the cool part about the production that I had been around the last couple of years in the NFL is that there were a lot of different body types that had success. So I felt good about bringing some of those techniques here and knowing that in some way, at least some of them could apply to each guy here, even though they had differences in their ability. But no, I was watching those guys on tape and seeing how productive they were. The good years they had, but kind of just how they played, that was really exciting about coming here in the first place. So I was definitely excited to start working with all of them.
The history of your position here,
Yeah.
How much did you talk to the guys about that, all the players, and how much of it did you know?
A little bit, just from kind of being a casual fan of football and an Illinois person, I've been aware of it from that standpoint, going back to Simeon Rice,
Right.
Kevin Hardy, I knew those guys growing up, but even in my time in the NFL, just being aware of Whitney Mercilus and what he did. So a little bit familiar, and we haven't talked a ton about it, but we've just talked about the history of, good defense here, and especially in recent years, but also historically the value of rushers in a 3-4 defense. We've talked a lot about that, and in this scheme, it is a 3-4, it's aggressive, and there's a premium on rushing the quarterback, disrupting the quarterback, and covering guys in the back end. And, as evident by the DBs who are getting ready to take the next step and go to the NFL, I think you see that. Those guys had production, and the other part of that is the pass rush, and we have some veteran guys coming back, so we need to lead the way in this scheme moving forward.
This way Rice played. This way Rice played. Does that always work? You know, was his style, does that always translate?
Say that one more time.
The way Rice played when he was here.
Oh.
Does that kind of style work?
Yeah,
Universal.
he was long and a freak athlete, and played hard. So that always has an optimal chance for success. Yes.
So I know we've talked a lot about Gabe and Seth, but what do you see from Jared, Alec, and I think Trey?
Yeah.
Who's on campus as well.
Yeah. So I'll start with Alec. He's been on the field a little bit more. Alec is a football player. He has very good instincts, very good reactions. He approaches blocks well, and he reacts to blocks well, and he's a pretty aware pass rusher. His physical traits may look different than Seth and Gabe, but he is just a football player, and you can never have enough of those guys on a roster. He also shares that alpha mentality that the other guys do. Trey and Jared are younger. Jared's been here a year. Trey just got here. Both of those guys are extremely athletic. I think they're young. They're still adding bulk to their frame that'll help them in time, but they're athletes. They're smart. They can pick the scheme up. So as they're building and adding those physical things that come with age and development, they have an underlying athletic ability and just intelligence that'll help them maximize as they go.
Every skill set's different.
Yeah.
If you left spring ball and said, I got my guys to do X thing, what would that be? What would feel accomplished there?
Just attacking off the ball at all times, on all downs, just rolling off the ball and being disruptive on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Your group works in concert a lot, obviously, with the defensive line. What kind of synergy have you seen maybe between those guys? It's not very deep in the spring.
Yeah, no, really good. The start of any relationship is just a connection and bond, and even going back to winter conditioning, the energy that those guys have and share. You talk about alpha personalities, Keith Randolph and Johnny, they fit that bill for sure as well. So you add those guys with the guys we have on the edge, it's been really good already. And as we've started spring ball, it's been good, and it'll that energy and synergy, as you said, will remain, I would assume, through the rest of spring ball and be a big part of carrying us into fall camp and the season.
Transition to the college game plan program, what are kind of the biggest differences you've seen in the past couple months here since you got here?
Yeah, I'd say just physically, the younger players they're just younger. They have a longer way to go physically in a general sense before they're ready to play. But a veteran guy in year 3, 4, and 5, who's been here, I had some rookies last year that were 21, 22 years old. So age-wise, you get some crossover in that range of ages. But I'd say just physically early on, just looking at the younger guys, they're 18 years old, 17, 18, 19 years old, and they just have a longer way to go. A positive thing has been, though, these guys are hungry. They're younger in their careers. Everything's out in front of them, and they just want to get better, at as much as they can. In the NFL, a guy may have kids and a mortgage, and when practice is over, he goes home. These guys hang around the building. They like football, so they're around and they're interested and just want to get better as quickly and as much as they can.
Is Gabe kind of the exception to that young guys'
Yeah.
physicality mold?
Yeah, there's exceptions to everything. Gabe 100%. Gabe looks like a 30-year-old man. Physically, he looks like an NFL guy right now. You look at, he's 265 pounds, built, physical, that type of thing. Yes, that he is. He's ahead of his age in that regard.
When he's got that, how do you maybe adapt what you're doing? Because he might have the physical part kind of figured out a little bit already.
Yeah, I think you can just move him farther on down the technical development road. He may be ready for some of the more advanced stuff that you can't get to until you graduate from the day one things that are are involved with teaching players new techniques or whatever. So because he's physically ready to go, he can do more. So he can move on and up quicker than the other guys, perhaps.
I know you can't talk about specific kids, but
Yeah.
what's the feedback been like on the recruiting trail so far?
Yeah, it's been good. Like I said in my initial press conference, I'm going to approach recruiting, mainly as just relationship building. And so that's what I've focused on now with high school coaches and the various players. And it's been good, and I would say for the most part, these kids just, what they're looking for primarily in choosing a place to play football is development. Whether they want to go to the NFL or not, a lot of the kids respect and appreciate and are looking for development. This program develops players. Coach B develops players. You know, I've been blessed to have had a chance at developing players at the highest level, and they're interested in that. And they're intrigued by that. So that part's been good.
Are you settled into the territories that you'll be focusing on?
Yeah, primarily primary area will be Chicago, and then a little bit in Arizona.
Is it about finding the right fit, the right length and athleticism for your position group? And
Yeah, for sure. Yes, mentality and traits, you know, and again, my experience with productive players, even in the NFL level, has been a lot of different body types. So it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all skill set, but, you know, if you got to bring something to the table, whether it's length, movement ability, flexibility, speed, quickness. So somewhere within there, you need to have a couple of the traits, even if you're deficient in a couple. So physically, that's what we're looking at there. And just, you want the right type of kid. I talked about, first and foremost, the mentality of this group of outside backers being elite. And that's what you need even before you get to a skill set. You can get by with a limited player physically if they're wired the right way mentally. So that character evaluation is as much part of the eval as anything.